Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, let's go over the hidden side, of avoidance you don't see until they love you. And the reason this happens when they love you is because avoidance, they keep people at arm's length, but if you love them and they love you, there's a part of them that lets you in to their vulnerable side, which is a lot of their flaws. So this is going to be a little bit on the negative side, but it doesn't mean I'm like saying that all avoidants have all these issues. I'm just saying that some of these will probably show up if you're with someone that's either dismissive avoidant or fearful avoidant. There's nothing too gender specific in this, but if there is, I'm going to let you know. But overall, we're going to talk about all the things that, they're afraid to show people unless they're close with you. And part of the reason it shows up when they love you is because there's a part of them that also believes that you're not going to abandon them or hurt them or humiliate them, and they trust you. And that's a huge component of how avoidants feel when they love. And the first one is a heavily controlled lifestyle, particularly with dismissive avoidance, but I've seen it both ways. Just controlled in general. They eat at a certain time. They wake up at a certain time. They do exercise a certain time. They work maybe certain hours, even if it's unnecessary. Very controlled lifestyle. Their social situations and social interactions are incredibly controlled as well. They might be controlling how they clean their house, how they keep their stuff, how they finance their money. So a lot of times they might be very nitpicky about how much electricity is being used, how often the stove is being turned on. And so these type of things means a very, very heavily controlled lifestyle. And part of this, that's why it's difficult, is this type of lifestyle can really push people away because it's really hard to fit in this mold. And most people will feel suffocated and controlled by the avoidance lifestyle, but they like it because it makes them feel like they're in control. But another person, it can be a little bit hard for you to fit in. And sometimes you can feel like you're being nitpicked, even though they don't mean to, because they're like that with themselves. They're going to do it to you as well, and that can push you away. And so just keep that in mind so you know where it's coming from. It's not that they think there's something wrong with you. They're just like this with themselves. The next one is the avoidance built into their lifestyle. You can see how they avoid social situations, how they avoid romantic relationships, how they avoid their feelings by simply how often they're working, by how regimented they are before bed. They exercise and they do this and they do all these things that make them feel like there's not much room for them to have feelings. They tend to be very occupied. Fearful avoidants don't do this as much, but something interesting that fearful avoidants do, a lot of them spend a lot of time like scrolling on their phone or like laying in bed and just laying down. They're not thinking, they're not doing anything, but that's still avoiding their feelings because they're not thinking about their feelings. They're almost detaching and numbing. And so it's just a new version of it. Some of them might think about their feelings, but usually they think about like the more negative stuff that ruminates in their mind. And so it's still pushing people away. And they're not thinking about their actual feelings. They're thinking about the what ifs or what could occur. So it's still not their feelings. It's almost like another perspective of them to try and be prepared. So another version of trying to control the outcome. And so it might look a little different if it's dismissive or fearful, but they both do it. Okay, the next one is going to be a little hard for some people to hear, but I think it's important because it's common, at least in my caseload, because of my specialization. A lot of them are short-tempered, at least based on my caseload. I specialize in anger, so that might be part of it. But you're going to see their short temper, their impatience, their annoyance, and this might throw you off for like the calm, cool exterior you thought they were, because they're not. Just being honest, they're not. They're very impatient typically, annoyed very easily. Sometimes they're not even short-tempered, impatient, or annoyed. They might just be incredibly moody. I am a moody person. I admit that. I try not to be, but I'm not an overly bubbly, happy person, which a lot of you guys probably can see that. It doesn't mean I'm not happy. I'm actually incredibly happy. But when I'm moody, I'm moody. And sometimes the littlest things can throw me off. I'm working on it. I am working on it. But then when I'm moody, it's like my whole moment is ruined and I need to be by myself and X, Y, and Z. And you're going to see this pattern with a lot of avoidance, the fluctuations of their moods, but they're not the same as your fluctuations. Especially if it's a dismissive avoidant, it's not going to be like some anxious feeling or they're worried about something. It's going to look like really pushing people away, very detached, very annoyed, very short. And this will create a lot of issues in relationships if it's not fixed or at least not understood or they're more aware of it. The next one is they need decompression after something that throws off their plans. Either this or they get really irritated. So you might as well give them decompression time. We were kind of talking about this, just the point before, but let's just say they for whatever reason, they needed to get their, I don't know, some system in their house. I keep saying HVAC system. I keep talking about that, even though I haven't had problems with that. I just feel like that's the one thing that really needs fixing pretty soon because of your comfort. So that's why I picked that one. HVAC or HVAC, however you want to say it, that system. And whatever reason, they thought that they could get it repaired that very day, and they found out, no, it's going to take 8 hours. You're going to have to wait till tomorrow. Whatever it is, and now they're really irritated, really annoyed, and it throws off their entire plans. Let's say even if the house is relatively comfortable, the temperature is not unbearable, they're just upset because something threw off what they expected. It could even be that they were invited to a wedding and they wanted it to end at a certain time because that's what the invite says, and then it takes longer than they expected. I'm like this. I don't like that at all, but that's just me. I don't like when plans overextend. I know a lot of people love that, right? Because they love going out. I'm a morning person. That's not me. So a lot of avoidants are like this, and then they need time to decompress. It could even be if you need documents from like a colleague. Maybe you guys are, I don't know, like whatever reason, something happened where a colleague needs to give you some documents, and now they're like, hey, I can't give it to you, even though I said I would. I'm really sorry. Wait till next week. That'll even annoy them, and now they need decompression for that. So they're really sensitive to these types of things, and you're going to see that happen a lot. The next one is they have a deep desire for recognition and appreciation. Both fearful avoidance and dismissive avoidance really need this. And you guys are going to think it's annoying. If you're an anxious preoccupied, you're going to think, wow, I have to give you a gold star for literally everything. The answer is yes. Just being honest. You guys need reassurance. That's your thing. This is our thing. Anyone who used to be avoidant or is whatever, we know, like I used to be one. I know that this is the thing I need, like above all things. If you recognize my efforts, I will do as much as I can, but I just want you to notice I'm not perfect, but doing that is going to make it so much easier for me to want to do more. And most avoidants are like that. The next one is they use work as a way to regulate themselves. Most of them dive into work. They're doing like 10 different things at once. They like to. It's the way they are. Let them be. Eventually they might adjust it up slowly, but it's going to be hard if you take it away fully, because then they're going to be really irritated. They're going to be really detached, and they might pull away. And so you're going to notice that they use work to regulate themselves. The next one is that they actually have a very controlled setting socially. When they're socializing with a lot of people, you're going to see that even the things they talk about are controlled. They're going to talk about, like, it's going to sound strange, but they're going to talk about like the same subjects over and over, because they only have a certain set of things that they're comfortable sharing. The next one, and they don't do that with you, they're doing that with other people. The next one is that they overthink a lot, and it makes them very tired. This is for fearful avoidance. You're going to see that a lot of fearful avoidants are actually just really exhausted because they're overthinking, and then sometimes they're trying not to overthink, and then they have this negative thought, and then they don't trust you, and now they feel like you're going to leave them, and now they feel like you're asking for too much. So it's a lot of stuff going on, and they're just tired, and they need downtime for that. We've already talked about that part, but you're going to see they're pretty exhausted with that stuff. Let them be. You can address it at some point, but don't push them. They have a lot of trauma. And the last one is jealousy. Way more common with fearful avoidance. You will start seeing that there's some jealousy involved as well in protectiveness. So let's summarize and wrap it up. Heavily controlled lifestyle, avoidance built into their lifestyle. Short temper, impatience, annoyance, or moodiness. Need for decompression, that when something throws off their plans. A deep desire for recognition. They use work to regulate themselves. They're often very controlled socially and only talk about same subjects with people, not you, but other people, like repeated subjects. Fearful avoidance, they tend to overthink, and it makes them really tired. And then you're going to see jealousy more common with fearful avoidance. I hope this video is helpful for somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.